Hello chaps, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're like me and you love the pub, you probably noticed when that random Spanish beer suddenly appeared everywhere after COVID. That beer is called Madri, the beer with the nice looking Spanish gentleman and branding that makes you think of a warm Mediterranean holiday, which almost justifies spending half of your disposable income on a beer these days. Except, not a single Spaniard has heard of Madri, because it's actually produced by Coors, in Yorkshire. To my American viewers, this is the equivalent of selling Mexican branded tacos only for them to be produced in Seattle. Jokes aside, the point I make in this video is that the taste of beer depends heavily on its marketing, which fools the average consumer in multiple different ways. Beer is fucking old. The oldest archaeological evidence of beer production dates back 13,000 years. There's even a 4,000-year-old tablet from Mesopotamia that functioned as a receipt of purchase. Between then and the Industrial Revolution, beer was mostly produced and drunk domestically. This is quite a generalization, but if you drank a beer before the Industrial Revolution, it was a beer produced by the people and for the people in that town. Nowadays, it's obviously quite different. Under modern capitalism, multinational beer companies all compete against each other on the pub bar or in the supermarket aisle. Compared to the past, there now exists a lot more consumer choice with which beer to drink. Because of this, different beers are considered as close substitutes to each other. In other words, if a consumer buys a beer, they have to choose one beer out of the many that are offered. But this is just economic theory, of course. If I'm in the supermarket, I'm buying at least half a dozen. If there's one takeaway message from this video, let it be this one. The main point of competition is at the first point of contact between the beer and the consumer, i.e., when the consumer sees the branding and the logo of the beer and how it affects the consumer's judgment. Beers do not compete by taste. I found a study that conducted this experiment, and according to their results, consumers were not only unable to identify their favourite beer from a whole range, their opinions were also vastly different when the beer brands were revealed. And there are multiple studies that conclude this. Even without these studies, running a simple blind taste test yourself would give you enough anecdotal evidence of this trend. Further to this, one of the most influential marketing promotions of all time is the Pepsi Challenge that started in the 70s. By having consumers try a blind sip of both Pepsi and Coke, it was quickly established that Pepsi was actually the most preferred by Americans. But we do not care, because Coca-Cola has the best branding out of any company in the world. What this illustrates is how important a beer's branding affects your opinion of that beer. This is a case of information being extrinsic. Essentially, when your judgment of purchasing a good is affected by the information given to you through marketing and branding. This differs from intrinsic information, which in this case would be the actual taste and therefore utility you derive from the beer. The rational consumer aims to maximize their utility, so in this scenario, they buy the best tasting beer for the best price. In the beer market, however, even if the beer tastes like piss, marketing a beer can raise the consumer's perceived utility of it. I would like to direct you to arguably the most successfully marketed beer in the world, Corona. If you don't believe me, Corona has asserted itself as the beer of choice to drink on a sunny day or on the beach. Just look at their website. Making yourself the beer of choice for the beach when there is over 1 million kilometers of coastline in the world is quite the challenge, but there are certain steps the company took to achieve this. First, the bottle. You probably already know that Corona is packaged in clear flint bottles rather than the normal brown or green bottle. Coloured bottles date back to 1912 and were quite the innovation at the time because sunlight would otherwise degrade the beer. Despite this, Corona goes to the effort of adding UV protected coats to their bottles so that they can be packaged with clear bottles. As a result, you can see the golden beer through the glass bottle, which contributes to their branding colour scheme. Corona bottles also shimmer when held in sunlight, unlike other darker bottles. Furthermore, the unusual bottle colour stands out more to the consumer. Another factor to Corona's success is its convention of drinking it with a lime. Which other beer are you cutting up a fucking lime for? The zesty flavour of the lime contributes to its essence of being a summer beverage. Corona's marketing is great, and it's what I think is the best thing about it. If you offer me one, of course I'd accept. I'm accepting a free beer like the next person. But it's a mild and pretty boring tasting beer at the end of the day. It's almost like that's the message behind this video. For this segment of the video, I'll be discussing some other factors not mentioned so far. First, the story. Every successful beer brand has a story behind it. How unique these stories are play into how successful the brand becomes. Most stories behind the breweries normally fall into two groups. The centuries-old brands will outline their extensive histories, and the newer brands highlight how innovative they are. The glass. This is similar to the point I made earlier about having a unique bottle. We all know what glass Guinness comes in. Drinking Guinness out of any other glass would actually be a crime at this point. That's one reason of many why Guinness is so iconic. And in case you couldn't guess, being iconic is good for business. Sport. This could probably be a whole video in and of itself, so this will be quite brief. Put simply, beer and football fit together like two peas in a pod. Bitburger is the official partner of the 2024 Euros, and because of this, it's expecting plenty of sales. If you ask me, Bitburger tastes like liquid Dorito. To summarize, the tactics used to market beer are actually more important than the taste of the beer itself. Marketing works both consciously and subconsciously to change the way you view a product, and good marketing can be the difference between a successful and unsuccessful product. Hopefully, this video has shown how important good marketing is, irrespective of the industry, in the case that you are trying to launch a product yourself. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you want to see more from the channel. Bye for now.